And we're live. What's up, guys? I'm Luis Calvillo. I'm here with Gabe No Victim. Introduce yourself, brother, for the people that don't know you yet, because you've been catching social media by storm.
Yeah, man. So I'm Gabe, at Gabe No Victim, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. I'm an online coach, and I have a clothing company. And basically, my brand is centered around men's self-improvement. So, yep.
And for you, bro, like, when did you have, because I've been following you for a long time. I started to get into personal development like at 19 years old, and it completely changed the game for me. When did you have that moment where you realized like nobody was going to come save you and you had to like make it on your own?
Yeah, that's a good question, bro. So I would say this, actually. We just talked about him, actually, Andy Frisella. Andy Frisella's podcast, he had this podcast, the MF CEO podcast. And the way that I learned about the podcast was through like his supplement company, First Form, because I was, heavy into bodybuilding at the time. 18 years old when I first started listening to it. But through bodybuilding, I learned a lot about just taking self-responsibility, holding myself accountable, and like just realizing, just because of the nature of bodybuilding, it's just like it's basically like a one-man show. Mm-hmm. So that's early on I learned about entrepreneurship and like taking like I said, responsibility for myself. And I actually remember I would it's a funny story, because I first heard about entrepreneurship when I was 18, right? So I started listening to Andy Frisella, his podcast. I was stocking the freezer at this one job I had. I would pump gas, and then some days I would stock the freezer, right? And in the process of listening to this podcast, I started to learn about like the mindset of an entrepreneur. And I realized the main difference between kind of like what you said, it's an interesting angle, because the main difference between an entrepreneur and someone like myself who was an entrepreneur, working like my 9 to 5, was the mindset, and was the accountability, like the ability to take accountability for yourself. But the craziest thing, dude, is this: like my journey to the mindset of an entrepreneur was like, it took years and years and years for me to break like the cycle of what I knew and like learn new things, you know what I'm saying? Because I remember being at my job, I was like a young guy, right, 18. And what I was hearing from these entrepreneurs, he would have guests on the podcast, it was almost like I didn't believe it, because it was stuff that was so like simple, right? Like, take responsibility for yourself, have work ethic, have grit, have a vision, create value for others, when it comes to social media, being vulnerable and being able to connect with others. And, I remember my paycheck every week was like $335. And I would always think like, I would literally think, there was actually times where, this is crazy to admit, but I would stop listening to his podcast, because I would be like, oh, like this doesn't really apply to me because I'm broke, like, you know what I'm saying? So it's just crazy, because I remember how, I would almost be like bothered by the things he was saying, because I'd be like, create value for others. Like, how the fuck am I going to create value for others when I'm literally broke? I work at a gas station, right? So I always say this in my content, like, you don't really learn what you want to do until you really learn what you don't want to do, right? And for a lot of people, that's the case, and at least that was the case for me, because I had to work so many different jobs and be exposed to different, people and environments to realize what I did and didn't want to do. So even from age 18, when I first like heard the word entrepreneur, to age 25, when I left my job, so we're talking 5-6 years, when I left the workforce, you could say, and started my business, that's 6 years of like, you're met with the same roadblock over and over and over again, until you're like, damn, maybe what this guy is saying is true, right? Maybe it is all mindset, right? Big question I started to ask myself too was, I'm 25 years old, I'm working manual labor, right? And something that started to scare me was how I started to get older, and I didn't really have anything to show for my life. I didn't have anything to show for myself. So I asked myself the big question, like, would I rather risk leaving this job now and at least just trying, or like, what's the next 5 years of my life gonna look like, right? And that's what kind of like scared me into entrepreneurship, right? Because I'm like, I'm gonna be 30 in 5 years, which I'm 29 in a month, right? So in that time period, so much had happened, but the biggest thing, man, was just realizing like the time is now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Honestly, compared to you, bro, like I'm a fucking, you're 23. So like I didn't start entrepreneurship till I was 25. So I'm actually like, I'm weirdly enough, I would be considered like a late bloomer in this day and age, right? Because we see all these guys 19, 20 years old, you know, starting their businesses. I mean, I have buddies that are 21, 22 that have Lamborghinis and fucking, you know, supercars and shit.
Yeah.
So, yeah, entrepreneurship's been life-changing for me.
I got into it when I was 19, like during COVID. Everybody remembers the vid. I was gonna get kicked out of my house because my mom's boyfriend was super scared that I was gonna get people sick. He came up to my room and he was like, hey, yeah, you're either gonna have to like sleep in your car or you're gonna have to go. And I started scrolling on Indeed. I'm like, I'm 18 years old. Like, what am I gonna do? I don't have any money. I was working at McDonald's like 2 years before that.
Wow.
So I think that was when I had that aha moment where I was like, dude, I have to make it work. Because if I don't, like, yeah, nobody's coming to save me.
Yeah, and I think we should talk about that too. Like, I think that's a big, that could be a big moment for a lot of people listening, is like, what does the mindset have to be? Because the mind will be there. The mindset has to be there first before you can actually like do what you want to do. You get what I'm saying? So like, you have to believe and know that it's true when you literally don't have any concrete proof. Right? Like working at McDonald's or whatever, you know, whatever situation you're in, me doing manual labor, like by all logic to say, oh, I'm going to be a successful entrepreneur, it doesn't even really make sense. There's no proof. There's no good reason why to say that you could be, but it's the mindset and the ability to say, okay, like, I don't really give a fuck how I'm going to do it. I just know I'm going to do it. You know what I'm saying?
You have to have like a love of like getting your teeth kicked in. Like, cause there's so many obstacles. Like last year was my best year financially. And it was also the year where I got my butt kicked the most with business, it was just ridiculous, the obstacles that I went through. But I feel like I'm grateful for it now. Cause yeah, the more you learn, the more you earn, bro. And that's what I've been learning.
Yeah, absolutely. I think too, like a lot of kids, right, or I don't even want to say kids, or people that aren't in the, you know, the job situation that they want to be in, they don't realize that pretty much everyone has it the same, right? It's all like it's all relative, right? You know, depending on what you're going through. But I think the most important thing about, you know, the mindset of an entrepreneur, like going back to like, how do you have to be thinking, like, especially let's say you work like a 9 to 5. It's almost the opposite mindset. Right?
Yeah.
So you need to take, if you decide that you want to be an entrepreneur and you're just like, this is the path that I want to take, and this is what I did, is you have to stop looking for the perfect situation, right? And the perfect opportunity, right? Because it doesn't look like the perfect opportunity until you actually get results, right? It's like you with solar. It's like, yeah, it was the perfect opportunity for solar. Like, right? You know, it was perfect opportunity for me. It's like you made it the perfect opportunity.
Exactly.
With coaching, I made it the perfect opportunity for me. But the reason I'm saying that is because it's really, really easy, like so easy as a young man to just accept defeat, right? And just say, well, they don't have it as hard as me, or I can't do this because of this. But the truth is like, people worry way too much about the how without even setting clear, defined goals. You know what I'm saying? Like, because, you know, sometimes you'll set a goal that's so massive, you'll scare even you, right? And you can't, it's such a big goal that the how, there's so many parts involved to getting there. But once you set that standard, this is something, you know, Grant Cardone, obviously. One of the best books of all time, you guys should read it. I don't know if you've read it, The 10X Rule.
Yep.
Changed my life. Literally, that book changed my life.
That book is winning right there, bro.
That book taught me the level of work ethic that is required to get to where I want to be. And he says something in this book that's profound. I always spread this message every time I get the chance. He says that when your level of when your goals are so massive, almost unrealistic, because of that, the level of productivity has to follow. So just from setting the goals, right, your level of productivity is accelerated, 10x, right?
Yeah.
And that's what people don't do. Like literally, guys, I'm telling you this in real time. I just hired a new coach. I'm always investing in coaching. I'm sure you're investing in coaching and mentorship and things like that. I hired a new coach, right? And I'm, working with him, and I'm digesting the course material and blah, blah, blah. And I'm looking at the intro, right? And he has 5 daily non-negotiables. And one of the non-negotiables is you write your 12-month goals down every morning, and then you check it multiple times a day. And I realized, I was like, I haven't even really written down my yearly goals. I mean, I have like loose-based goals, like, I want this, I want that, I want to do this, I want to, retire my mom, whatever it is. But I wasn't writing it down. Get what I'm saying? So just from writing it down, like I started working with him like a week ago, my level of productivity has been through the roof. It's almost like, and I swear, I'm getting more deals. I'm getting more engagement on my content.
The frequency.
The frequency is completely different. And before, I shit you not, I was holding on to the money. I was literally like, do I really want to invest this? I'm like, I could sit there. Then I made the investment already. I literally 5x the investment back already in a week.
Damn.
Just from my frequency being on a higher level.
What do you have to tell the people? Because like I get a lot of people, and I'm sure you get it too in your DMs, that are like, dude, I really want to learn from you. I really want to do this. I want to do that. They tell you all these big goals, but then they're not willing to invest in coaching. Like that's one of the things that's like, I'm like, I don't get it.
Yeah. Well, I look at it this way, right? Because I've been there, right? I've been, if to be empathetic towards those people on a mild level, I'll say this, right? When you're making $500 a week, right? And you have your bills written out, whatever, and you have this little bit money left over every month, right? It is hard to part ways with that money. It's hard. But at the same time, I always ask those people this, and this is the thing, right? The 3 main resources are time, energy, and money. Right? Money is just a resource, right? Someone who owns a business, we may have more access to capital, so then we can take that money and invest. But also, what else are we doing? We're investing our time and our energy as wisely as we can, right? Those people aren't. Notice how when someone comes, the respect level is completely different, right? When someone says, hey, I want to do what you do. I want to be in solar sales. I want to blah, blah, blah. And you're thinking, okay, well, great. How many doors have you knocked today? How many sales calls have you made? How many solar sales jobs have you applied for? Did you watch this YouTube video? Are you following this guy? Are you following some of the top guys in the space? Like, what are you doing with the 2 resources that you definitely have, time and energy? Because you don't have money, well, that's okay. You can wait to get the money, right? You can wait. Just use the time and energy that you have and invest that. People don't do that, right? One of the things that happened to me, which changed my life, was when I was like 15. I had been working out on my own, right? I was on bodybuilding.com. I'm looking up workout programs. I'm working out in my basement. I'm eating the pasta. I'm eating the yogurt, the tuna, the hard-boiled eggs, right? And I'm not really getting crazy results, but I'm getting results. But I was busting my ass because I really wanted to improve my physique. And I'm sure you guys have heard the quote before where it's like, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened. I ended up meeting this guy who was one of my brother's friends. His name's Brandon, still a mentor to this day. Top bodybuilder, really, one of the best physiques literally I've ever seen. He happened to be one of the best teenage bench pressers in the world.
Really?
Right? And he was in my high school.
Damn.
So he actually approached me and he was like, hey, I see you in here every day. I see you carrying your Tupperware around, blah, blah, blah. He's like, and I'm friends with your brother. He's like, he started helping me with my squat form, right? And he would see me because I would come in every week and I would do everything he said. Anything he told me. This dude could have told me, we had a joke about, this dude could have told me to eat fucking orange peels and I would have done it, right? So I trusted him because, and that was one thing that humbled me too. As a young person, a lot of times when you're a young man, your ego is attached to what you know, but a lot of times you don't know shit.
Yeah.
Right. So like when I started to be under his mentorship, there was a lot of times where I'm like, I have to shut up and listen. Right. I have to literally not care as much about the delivery, but understand the message and what he's saying. Right. And the whole point of what I'm saying is this, right? I was busting my ass already on my own. So when I approached him and he wanted to help me, and then I wanted more help, and we kind of started to reciprocate each other. It's because he respected me because I was already busting my ass in the background. So a lot of you guys that you want to work with people that are at a higher level, you're thinking, well, how can I create value for this person? Think of it this way, because to be honest, and again, I'm not going to speak for you, but chances are you're not going to offer either of us lunch or a coffee to pick our brain. Like, we can buy our own fucking lunch, we can buy our own coffee, right? But at the end of the day, right, I don't want to speak for you, but at the end of the day, it's like the chances of that happening, or the chances of a connection being made, if you are already literally doing the work in the background, the chances are way higher, right? Because you're going to have respect for that person, because you can almost put yourself in the same place that you were in their spot, right? I was talking to a kid yesterday, literally a kid, he was a teenager, and he said, hey, I want to do this, and you know how the young guys are, they're excited. He's like, I want to get big, and I'm doing this, and I read this book, and I blah blah blah. He's like, and I want to be on social media, and I go, I love that you're collecting all this knowledge. I love it. I go, out of everything that you've learned, what have you implemented though? He goes, oh, well, I implemented all. And for how long? Like a year, right? And now, do you have the results that you want? No. That's proof that you're not implementing everything that you say you are, right? He was telling me, I want to grow my social media, I want to do this. I look at his page, there's no reels, there's no stories, there's 3 pictures, right? And I had to be the one, right? I had to be the one to basically break the ice and say, hey, bro, none of that shit matters because you're not even putting the work in the background. See, people think that, now I'm not saying don't read books. You should read books, watch YouTube videos, get mentorship, you should all that. But you have to realize that that is 20% of it. And 80% of it is literally, just like you said, getting your teeth kicked in every fucking day, eating shit, and learning in the process. And actually, guys, in a weird, sick way, it is the fun part.
Yeah,
it is the fun part.
Is for sure.
Because I'll speak for myself, maybe him as well, but the winning's great, but it's only a checkpoint, right? Like, you get a car, a watch, you go on a vacation, you have a nice experience. All it is a checkpoint, right?
Yeah.
Because you know that it's almost like it's a celebration, but at the same time, and always remember this, every time you level up and you get to the next level, you're just at the bottom of that level. So always remember that, right? And we talked about how I'm moving to Miami in a month. Biggest reason I'm doing that, guys, is so my standard can be raised, right? I actually, don't take this the wrong way, but so I bought a Mercedes like a year ago. It's a C63 AMG. It's fast, it's nice, it's not the best car in the world, but it's a good car, it's a great car, I love it. I pull up to the post office the other day, and this person's like, oh, I love your car, like, it's so sick, and blah, blah, blah. And it actually started to piss me off. Because I appreciated the compliment, I thought it was nice, but then I realized, I go, you're acting like this is like a fucking SVJ or like a new Ferrari or whatever, but it's a Mercedes AMG C63, which isn't bad. It's just that their standard was set so low. Get what I'm saying? So, and when you go to Miami and you see kids that are 5, 6, 8 years younger than you driving Lamborghinis, it's the essence of the message, right? I always believe that the message is in the medium, right? You have to read between the lines with certain things. And I was talking to my brother about this yesterday, and I said, he's like, well, I don't really, he's not a materialistic person at all. I'm way more materialistic than my brother. But I said to him, bro, imagine if we were the brothers that had SVJs. Just 2 of us, like coming up from where we came from, and then we had supercars or whatever supercar you want. He's like, yeah, that would be cool, but blah blah blah. I go, bro, it's not even about the stuff. And I texted him this morning just to remind him. I texted him. This is my older brother. I said, bro, remember what we talked about. Keep the vision on the forefront. Not about the stuff, but it's about the man that's required to get the stuff. The man that you have to become to get the stuff, right? It's the process. The process is everything, man.
Yeah, I would say for me, I bought like one of my coolest possessions that I have last year. And I was like, I saw it at the store. I was like, didn't even check the price tag. I'm like, I'm getting it. As soon as I walk out the mall, I get a call from my top sales guy. And he's like, hey, if you don't give me a lower commission by tonight, I'm going to leave and take everybody with me. So I was like, what do I do? Like, I feel like life for me it is the journey. Because I was super, super high on life. I'm like, dude, I'm in the mall right now. I'm balling. I'm with my girl. And as soon as I walk out the mall, like I'm talking about, I'm not even by my car. I'm walking.
Is it the watch?
Yeah, it's a watch.
What kind of watch is that?
It's a two-door.
That's nice, dude.
Thanks, bro.
I like that a lot.
And I get the call and I'm like, dude, you gotta be shitting me. I was super high on life. And as soon as I walked out, I'm getting that call and he's like, I'm gonna take everybody with me. And I'm like, damn, this is really like, this is what business is.
Yeah.
At least the beginning of it. So you gotta love the journey, bro.
Yeah,
you gotta
absolutely. And I think that in a weird way, you start to laugh at things like that.
Yeah.
You're like, this is exactly what is required to become a successful entrepreneur, is because you're basically putting out fires all fucking day.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And that's another thing too. For you guys that are not in business yet, or you want to be in business, or you're struggling in your business right now, you guys have to start to reframe, and this is, and I'm talking to myself as well, is the ability to reframe things and look at them as opportunities is so powerful. Even the worst shit, right? Because I always say this in my content. When things are going good, you're not sitting there thinking, wow, I really got to re-strategize, man. Things are just too good right now. No, you only do that when shit hits the fan, right? When shit hits the fan, you know, God forbid someone passes away, you lose a business partner, someone quits, you break up, parents divorce, car accident, whatever it is. That's the only time, really, where someone gets sick, where you take a step back and you're like, oh, now I have to re-strategize. Now I have to take a second look at what I'm doing. And that's the opportunity, because the opportunities are in everything.
Yeah, I would say right now, there's gonna be more opportunity than ever. Like a lot of my people, because a lot of my friends when I was coming up were like super broke mindset, like out of shape, partying all the time. And I was the same way. I was going to UCF, I was partying, I got super chunky, and I was partying every single day with a fraternity. And I get to the end of it and I'm sitting in bed right before they're about to like make you a brother, quote unquote. And I'm like, dude, I'm the brokest I've ever been. I don't have like really any close friends. All these dudes don't really love me, like don't really have my back. So I call my dad, I'm like, am I gonna be the guy that's relying on other men to like provide me like an experience when I go out and stuff? Or am I gonna be the guy that walks in the club or wherever I'm at and be able to handle whatever we need to handle if we're buying whatever? And I chose option B, and everybody looked at me crazy. My best friends left me. People were just like, and I wouldn't even say haters, I would say they just don't know any better. And once you start to know, plug into Andy Frisella, plug into young studs like us, like you start to have a different frequency and mindset. That's 100%. What's helped me a bunch.
100%, yeah. I mean, dude, mindset is everything, but like people don't really understand what that means. It literally means this. It means we're all human. We all experience the same shit on it. It's all relative, right? It's the difference between someone that is successful and someone that is not, is we take shitty things and we reframe them. That's it. It's all a perspective shift. That's it. See, the alternative doesn't empower you, anybody. Mm-hmm. Well, this just happened. It is what it is. Like, it's just, I don't know. You know, I'm just in this situation. You get what I'm saying? But like, that's you acting entitled, right? Entitlement is a dynamic. You can think you're the best person on the world and you deserve everything. And you can also think that you are the worst person in the world and you don't deserve anything, right? They're both entitlement. It's both, it's acting like you're more important than you really think you are. You get what I'm saying? So that's another thing too, is like, I always think about, not to take a dark turn here, but I always think about death. I think about it every day.
I think the same way, bro.
Always. I'm always thinking about the fact that literally today could be any of our last day. You and me, anyone watching. Now it's scary to think about. We don't want to talk about it. It's like, you know, you bring that up in the wrong context, people are gonna be like, is this dude okay?
Yeah.
You know, but it's true, right? And I always think about that. And like, this is the mentality that you have to operate with, which will change your life. It's like, if that's not enough, then what the fuck is?
Yeah.
Right? If the fact that the clock is ticking, we're only here for average on the high end 70 years, right? Then we don't even have as much time as we think we do. So the time there has to be a conversation at some point about what you're going to spend your life doing, right? It's hard for everyone. I mean, entrepreneurship has the I don't know the exact statistics, but the statistics for mental health, depression, anxiety, suicide are astronomically high in entrepreneurs, right? Mm-hmm. And the thing is like, I always think this, right? Because sometimes when maybe I lose someone on my team, or the deal doesn't go through, or maybe I'm not having the month I want, or having some things go on in my personal life, there has to be a conversation at some point where you're like, wait a second, time is running out.
Yeah.
And I can't fucking spend these valuable minutes stressing out or in a negative way. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. See, a lot of people think that the feeling good is supposed to just be, brought to you. You're supposed to just feel good just for no reason, right? I always think about this. When you wake up in the morning, are you grateful just for the ability to breathe, just for the ability to have another day? Walk, have a roof over your head. I was talking to my brother last night. And people will ask me, things like, when was the moment for you? And like when you're making TikToks and you're like, hey, I'm gonna turn this into a business. It wasn't when I was doing it. It was at my last job. My last job showed me that you can run, but you can't hide, right? Because every job I would work, it was the same shit, same people, same culture, same pay, right? Then I realized, I said, I need to stop looking for, this is something I learned in the Grant Cardone's book, 10X Rule. I need to stop looking for the perfect situation, and I need to make the situation that I'm in perfect. And that's exactly what I did. See, the mindset changed before the man. So at my last job, if I operated with the same mindset that I had at every other job, these things that I'm going to explain to you wouldn't have happened. Got 5 raises while I was there in 2 years. I worked my way up to the point where I was like an upper management in the company, small company, and then we were actually going to roll out an entire sales leg of the company because everything was based off referrals. It was lawn treatment, right? And keep in mind, guys, I started to get some tattoos. I had tattoos on my, the sides of my neck. I had these little tattoos right here. And my boss didn't care because my performance was so good. And there was this moment where my boss knew that he's like, I wish everyone here like operated with your energy, right? Listened to podcasts, did that work, extra work, right? I'd come into work, I'd be like, all right, guys, we're gonna fucking kill it today, right? I'm writing Andy Frisella quotes on the board, and I'm like, you should read this book, you should listen to this podcast. And I think there was a moment where he realized that what was allowing me to perform at a high level was going to be the same reason why I was going to leave and outgrow the company. Do you know what I'm saying? So I did end up leaving, but what I learned at that job is to literally embrace the suck, embrace the shit that you're in, and just treat every day as a building block. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, and this is the truth, is I don't think, I'm not going to say this because this is such a general statement, but how I felt was, I don't think anyone was as grateful to have a new fucking Toyota Corolla as I was, and a studio apartment. I was fucking thrilled, dude. I was driving beater cars my whole life. Then I finally had enough to just finance one. I remember leaving the Toyota dealership in this 2018 Toyota Corolla stick shift. I'm like, damn, this is fucking amazing. Every day I felt like I was like on a high, right? Because I was like, the fruits of my labor. I was like, finally, right? Had my studio apartment. And then I was like, my life is completely different.
That's it.
I was still making dick money, but I was like, dude, my life is amazing. I was so grateful for the opportunity, because where I was becoming empowered was when I started to be able to embrace getting my teeth kicked in and just have that delayed gratification. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not going to happen today, but it will happen if I continually show up, enthusiastic and being grateful for every moment,
I would say, like, for me, like, as we were just joking right now, putting yourself in uncomfortable situations. Like, I got myself in a door-to-door when I was going to get kicked out of COVID. Like, right now, I just said a joke. I'm like, we got to round up the horses. But exposing yourself, like, all these funny little remarks that I've learned is from talking to people, like, on the doors, communicating more. And I feel like when you start to talk to more people, because kind of like you were saying, bro, we're all human and we need more human interaction right now. The phone is like a vortex. You got to get out there and expose yourself to people. I started interviewing people. I've interviewed Andy Elliott, Mike O'Donnell, Zane Jen, a lot of heavy hitters that have 9-figure businesses. And all I've done is tap them on the shoulder or blow up their DMs and, hey, your content has helped my team and I so much. Would it upset you if we get on a podcast? You got to start reaching out to people, because once you start reaching out to the right people, your frequency starts to change. And to loop back to what you were saying about the Toyota, it's like, bro, your frequency started to change. You started to enter into a different paradigm. And Priscilla talks about it all the time. Manifestation is real, but you got to put the action first. And the action, and if you manifest, you're gonna fall into the right path if you have the action and the big dreams. And that's what's helped me, bro. I completely changed. I was sleeping in a bunk bed till I was 16 years old. Couldn't bring girls back to my place because I would share a room with my younger brother, and I was in a bunk bed. So like, you can't really sit up or do anything, watch TV, because you don't fit in the bunk bed. But all those little things where it's like, dang, how do I get myself out of here, instead of having the mindset of, dude, my life just sucks. I was hanging out with some cat at my house, and we were talking. Someone invited him as we had a little get together, and he's like, yeah, bro, my life is just not like the best. Like, I just don't really care about much. I'm like, bro, you're 24. Like, we're gonna die soon. Like, there is no time to hang out.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. You know, it's funny too when people say, when the younger guys will say, you know, I don't know what to do and blah 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 blah. But you just got to do something. Like,
you just got to do something.
I'm like the king of knowing what jobs you definitely shouldn't work, because I did it 30 times. You know what I'm saying? So like, and that's the thing too about connecting with people. Like, I had a conversation with my brother yesterday, and you know, he was saying, he's like, I need to get out there more, and I need to talk to more people. He's like, I feel like I'm socially awkward, like blah blah blah. I go, well, what do you mean, bro? I was like, you were just talking the tattoo artist. We just got tattoos yesterday. I was like, you were just talking the tattoo artist's ear off. You guys were completely flowing. I was like, it's not that you're socially awkward. It's that we all have preconceived notions of how we think someone is going to react when we approach them, right? It's when you can find that level of connection, all you need is one thing. It's probably something that you were taught in sales to create rapport. I love the insert football team. Yep. Or like, my dad has the same car. Or are you a big Ralph Lauren guy? Yeah. Like, just creating that level of connection, it changes the game. But also, you don't have to. There's nothing at all artificial about networking and wanting to build relationships, because, and I want to say this too. You ever had, as you were a younger kid, and I would sometimes, you know, the whole thing was like, well, I'm not friends with that person anymore because they only hit me up when they want something. Well, look at it this way: when you become an adult, especially an adult and in entrepreneurship, you are 100% building a relationship that is going to be a reciprocated thing, right? Like, this podcast is going to benefit us, right? And my brother's like, well, you know, benefit us equally, right? So my brother's like, well, like, you know, how do you have so many people in your network, and how do you? I go, bro, I'm friends with entrepreneurs. I'm friends with the people that do what I do, right? Am I gonna go, and I don't speak Spanish, you know, yet, but. Do you speak Spanish?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So like, it's like me trying to speak Spanish to a group of Spanish people that don't speak English. They're never going to speak my language, right? So it's not hopeless, right? Of course I can create connection. We could probably still laugh about something, but there is going to be kind of a language barrier, and that language barrier goes across the board, even when you speak the same language. You understand what I'm saying? Because, you know, I was sitting at this restaurant yesterday, and it's in Siesta Keys, so it's just a bunch of old white people. Like, you won't see a single fucking tattoo out there. You just won't. And, you know, I walk in, and people are looking at me like I'm gonna fucking rob the place, right?
Yeah.
And then I realize it's like not that I couldn't connect with anyone that's here, but I could probably find someone with a watch. We talk about watches, and then we create a connection that goes beyond surface level. Do you know what I'm saying? Because of how I presented myself, and because of my ability to just find that connection, you know what I'm saying?
And being bold, bro. It's like, I got invited to Cabo by one of my coaches last weekend, and I'm a guy that got a 9.10 on my SAT. I remember showing my friends my SAT, and they're like, dude, that's a low score. And I was like, and all my life, I'm like, damn, what am I gonna do? And exposing myself and hanging around the right people and plugging in the right info will change your life, bro, because it did it for me. It's done it for Gabe. To loop back, if you guys keep hearing the same names, Andy Frisilla, Eric Spofford, you got to start looking up, and you have the world at your hands. Like, there's never been a better time to get rich. Right now, the economy, it's the worst it's ever been, but this is when you can either become super, super broke, or you're going to advance to a different kind of level. And that's how you get to the next level, surrounding yourself with people that are advancing in different kind of ways.
100%. I actually like that you said that, where you said the economy, right? Like, I don't even like when people say like, what about the economy? I'm like, you dead out, like, really? Right? Like, and when people, they go, they're trying to create 2 classes. I'm like, fuck yeah, let's run it. Let's go. Right? So like, when they're like, there's gonna be a poor and the rich. And I'm like, okay, so fucking which one are you gonna be?
Exactly.
Literally. I asked myself that, and I'm like, well, and that's, I knew, this was before any business success. I knew my mindset had improved. Why? Because when everything happened in 2020 with the virus, everything, right? I might have to cut that out so we don't get it fucking get it deleted off whatever platform. But I started to feel empowered, because it felt so out of our control that it was like, okay. I started to watch how the high level individuals were operating. I go, wait a second, they're unaffected by it. Like, unaffected, like, even if they had to lay people off and blah, 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 and it changed, it affected our economy a lot, right? But I realized it was a mindset. When everyone stopped working, I was still doing manual labor every single day, and I felt amazing. I was like, dude, this is gonna be a time where a line is drawn between winners and losers. And the people that were fucking losers, when that everything was going down in 2020, that didn't take a step and say, this might be my opportunity, I promise you they're still in the same spot. Yeah, right? For sure. It's the people that used, even and that was crazy when that happened, right? Even sometimes, I'll admit, sometimes it was a little scary. It was like, well, they're controlling, not because of the people were getting sick, but because it felt like we were being controlled, right?
And you got everybody, like your family, telling you like, oh, you got to do this, because you're going to get everybody sick. And then it makes you feel like, like, am I doing something really wrong?
Yeah. And it goes back to mindset, man. You know, and regardless of what you think about all of what happened, that was a moment of empowerment for me, and probably for a lot of other people, where they realized, oh, there's going to be this is what I consider like a separator, right? Where people are going to either go left or go right, and we'll see who ends up, you know, on top in the end, you know?
Exactly. What would you tell, because a lot of young cats are going to watch this, a lot of older cats are going to watch this, but I feel like the people that do stumble across this are going to want a better life, are looking for something way better. What would you tell them now, like, as you're starting to build a badass business online, you're also pivoting as well, like you were telling me before the podcast. What would you tell them to start getting into what you're doing, like online fitness coaching or coaching other individuals?
I'll say this, right? Now there is maybe times where we have to force through and we have to do things that maybe we don't exactly want to do or aren't as excited about to get to our goal. But I'll say with the goals, no one sets goals for themselves that they don't really want. Get what I'm saying? And in turn, no one really does things that they don't really want to do. I don't mean that there's some things that suck, like there is, right? But no one really does things that they don't really want to do, right? So I go back to what I said before. First, you find out what you definitely don't want to do. Then you're almost forced into, well, this is what I have left. It's like the most obvious thing. If you want to get into online coaching in the online space, the truth is that if you are like me, no college degree, no real life skills, my parents would, I didn't grow up I wasn't on the fucking streets homeless. I didn't watch people get killed. My parents aren't drug addicts. Like, I just went through a divorce, had a couple bad breakups, been through some financial stress, right? And maybe that's me downplaying it, but the reason I'm saying that is because I used that and found the gems and the value in the mundane shit. And stuff that most people wouldn't, I just decided to not take no for an answer. It's like, well, what my life wasn't hard enough? Like, what am I gonna make content about? Guys, we all have value to give. See, most people, even if you're 18, do you think that you've learned something from age 14 to 18, 16 to 18, 17 to 18? Everyone, the answer will always be yes. That's the value right there. That's how you can help people. I'm money motivated. I want to make a fuck ton of money. Then my goal is to do 100 mil in the next 25 years, right? I just said it on a podcast, right? So now I have to do it.
I have to do it, bro.
But the whole point, like setting goals is one thing, right? But you have to really think about like what the fuck you want out of this life. You know what I'm saying? And if me telling you at 28 that I should have been telling you this at 18, if that's not enough for you, then I don't know if you're cut out for it. And this is the truth, is like, sometimes people aren't cut out for it, right? Maybe you're not supposed to be an entrepreneur. Maybe you're gonna be someone who's gonna join a company and help someone else's company grow. But the mindset is the same across the board, right? And I'll also say this too. One last little honorable mention bonus here. Everyone should have a personal brand. You don't know if you should be a coach or sell clothes or do solar or do media or do whatever it is, isn't an excuse. Start your fucking Instagram and start making content, because in 5 to 10 years, maybe even sooner, which you're already seeing now, our personal brands are our resume. When I DM someone, I am validated by the brand that I've built and what I've done, right? And you have to document because people need to see, right? There's so much content going out. People are skeptics. They don't trust people. The way that you can cut through the noise is just by being a real motherfucker. How do you be real? You be authentic. What's authentic? It's your real story. You know what I'm saying? Think about any brand, right? If you want to build a personal brand, every brand has a story. So just remember that, guys. Tell your story, give the real value that you have, and remind people every single day, right? Guys, there's like every single brand, I can name any brand, Nike, fucking Chili's, fucking, whatever, Rolex. They all have a story. They all have an origin story. That's actually why we connect, right? You have to build the story first on social media, and that's where people are going to connect with you.
And they're going to see, start documenting now. If I wasn't posting on social media, if Gabe wasn't posting on social media, we literally would not be here in this chair. No. That's literally how we connected. And same thing for the people that him and I meet. I was documenting when I was reading books in my mom's back porch where my dog had destroyed everything and stuff. I was trying to hold the book where I'm like, damn, they can't see what my dog just fucked up this morning, because I was embarrassed. I'm like, oh, they're gonna see it on Instagram. But fast forward 2 years later, 3 years later, and as time progresses, you do end up advancing in life, but you have to have crazy belief. And I feel like at least for me, my deepest struggles, and I'm not a personal trainer, I'm not a fitness coach, but fitness and just crushing the gym and seeing that progression is what's gonna help you. I feel like that's the foundation for me and for a lot of people, because I had my girlfriend leave me this year. I had the biggest year last year financially, but then I had the most obstacles, lost 100 grand. Uncle Sam hit me with a $140,000 tax bill, and if it wasn't for write-offs, even after write-offs, I'm still paying 60 bands in taxes, which is crazy. But what does that mean? Is that's the world telling you, dude, you're gonna get kicked in the nuts, and this is either gonna be a time. I remember speaking with my dad a couple weeks ago. He's like, you can either go to a corporate job, or this is what entrepreneurship is. Mm-hmm. And for me, I can't go back to a corporate job, bro. It is the sick in us, I feel like. You
gotta just cut the hypothetical rope and then just fall. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. But guys, Gabe No Victim, where can they find you on social media, bro?
At Gabe No Victim on everything, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok.
My social media, at calvillo.lu and Luis Calvillo on YouTube. Thanks for chopping it up with me, bro.
Sick, bro. Awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, that was a perfect dap up.